Do you see that California regional Democrat who says we need to deprogram 75 million Americans? And then the responses were like, this is why they have gulags. So the crazy thing about it is this guy thinks literally all 75 million Trump supporters are like fanatical conspiracy, like psychopaths running around screaming, when in fact, the overwhelming majority of Trump's voters are probably like some dude who was like, who should I vote for? Well, Trump seems to be for unions. And that's it.
He's been doing fine. That's why I voted for him. He's fine. I don't see any reason to change it.
There's a lot of people who voted for Trump who are like not political.
Yeah.
So when you see these videos of like the QAnon people or like the really diehard Trumpers, that's a small fraction of Trump's base.
Yeah.
Small.
They're vocal. There's many of them. It's probably in the millions. But most Trump supporters are probably just like, I don't know, man. I think Trump's going to do better with the economy.
I didn't get a $600 fine for not having Obamacare. So
exactly.
I like
you
that.
did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Trump's
that.
in office.
I know.
Yeah.
That's my brother.
I didn't appreciate that at all. I was
was
already
crazy.
broke. I didn't want to sign up for it.
Right.
So I get fined. It's like, bro, you're stealing money out of my pocket. I'm just this poor.
Yep.
I'm already poor.
Yeah, I can't, and I don't want to sign up for things like this. It disagreed with me morally. I don't feel like I should reach into other people's pockets and take money out of there. I mean, that's what taxes are. I suppose some people could argue, but
Yeah, it is. And to varying degrees, I was looking at a chart. I think it's only the 1% for the most part that pays taxes. Most people in this country under a certain income, they pay taxes, but they receive more from the government, more monetary value than they actually pay.
Is that including like roads and fire
everything.
department?
Just like every benefit you get is a net negative for the government, except for the rich people who are paying progressively more taxes. Yeah.
Okay, well that sounds functional.
Yeah, right. That sounds really workable.
and the problem is the left's response is tax the rich, and it's like, okay, where, how much, like what percentage, like what are we talking about? And then you hear about this plan for like a wealth tax. It sounds to me like there's too much coming from the left, the progressives, that is literally just them saying burn the country to the ground.
Plus the Panama Papers. Did you guys study those at all when those came out?
A little bit. That was a while ago.
It was like
all the people with their offshore money.
Yeah, in Panama and other places. But there's lots of rich people who will just store their money over offshore, especially if you start to tax them hard. They'll put it into assets overseas.
They'll hide
or
it.
illegally hide it.
Yeah.
They can start. You can start a company in a different country to have your income go into, and then you don't got to pay taxes on it.
It's crazy.
Arguably, you do, but like these people find these loopholes.
it's like a bad chess game. We're way too far. Both sides are losing. And if you were analyzing the game, you have to say, okay, around turn 20, everything went bad for both of us. We lost all our pieces. We're just going around. Our kings are circling each other. Can we just restart? Can we rewind the game?
You got to call a stalemate.
No. It's not about at turn 20 things went wrong. It's about at a certain point the Democrats decided repealing the civil rights law in California was a good idea. Would you ever would you compromise if so the Democrats were like, look, we want to repeal civil rights laws, notably this one in California, and give the government the right to discriminate on the basis of race. Will you compromise? Maybe would you be okay if we only discriminate on the basis of certain races?
No.
Would you compromise at all with that position, or would you say civil rights law must remain?
They've been don't you say give them an inch, they take a foot, something like that.
Give an inch, take a mile.
Right. They've been doing it for a long time. It's just maybe now they're bolder with their demands. I say we, but they've been getting their way for a very long time. Now they feel more bold and just saying, I'm going to take the whole table. I'm not going to just take this one piece of cake.
Well, the issue I see is, because I was talking to my friend, and she was saying, we got to figure out a way to bring people together and, move forward as a country. And I was like, I completely agree. So if you can figure out a way to convince the people who want to repeal civil rights law in California, it failed, by the way, because the people of California voted against it. If you can figure out a way to convince them to stop doing that, then I think we'll have unity. But you can't. Because they're saying you're the racist for allowing these anti-discrimination laws.
Well, they've been doing it anyway. On your, say, I ran an application, I want to work for Tim Incorporated. And there's a little line that says, if you want to, write down your race and gender here. And if I choose not to answer those, that means I'm one of those pesky people with opinions. You're not going to hire me. So they've had those lines in the applications. I've tried to work in the animation industry and stuff like that, so I know these things. I'm a genius. So I'm just kidding. But no,
you're serious.
They have softly been screening for this kind of thing for many years. It just so happened that they felt bold enough to put it now into law. The companies have been doing it forever.
Well, so the issue though is there is such a fundamental difference right now between the two realities. There is no compromise. Like, you can compromise on some things, probably, but some of the stuff they're proposing is just so downright psychotic. It's like you're not going to compromise on that, and then you can't bring people together when you have like that story in Texas where the dad says his kid is not trans and the mom says the kid is, and the mom wants to put the kid on treatment and medical treatment, which can permanently alter the kid for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
that's like. There's no middle ground there.
I think we need to think of it as in religious terms. Like, we're looking at, we say religion is like, follow this book, but really it's like a set of rules. It's like an operating system, perhaps you can put it that way. Some people have Mac installed, some people have Windows installed. You got, in this case, the mom had Mac or PC, whatever. The dad had the other operating system.
Linux.
They
Ubuntu.
They have completely, we think completely differently. The human mind maybe is just a computer without an operating system installed, but we're taught to say, okay, we're going to view the world, okay, in China, this is what the world is like, this is what is right and wrong, this is how you should behave. In other countries, maybe they're more religious, they say, this is the operating system we're going to install in your head. And for some people, maybe the operating system is more deeply installed. In other cases, maybe you lose your religion, something like that. But we have a sort of form of secularism, devotion to the state, perhaps, depending on, okay, let's say if someone says, I stand for X, Y, and Z, they are told, oh, then you're in this party. Therefore, you have to believe all these other things because you're on our team now.
Right.
I don't like being on a team. I kind of buffet style, this is what I believe here. Maybe I'll change. I believe a little bit of this. But obviously...
So like the another example is, do you know how many unarmed black men were shot and killed by police last year?
I remember you saying it was like 20.
No, I'll give you the high end, 13.
Yeah.
The low end is 9, depending on which source you use. 13. When I hear that, I say it does not sound like after 375 million interactions between police and civilians. That we have a widespread or systemic problem with police targeting, people of color or something like that. But Black Lives Matter believes they do, so they go out and they riot.
It feels higher to them, I would say.
Well, it's a media issue.
I've got a friend who he used to joke about being pulled over for driving while black, he would say. Things like that. He's terrified of the police, and I'm sure he's heard stories about people getting beaten up or whatever, bad stories.
And could that be what's driving it? That
fear.
Stories,
it's just fear.
Stories?
They're afraid of, understandably, police being cruel to them. I get it.
When I hear all this talk, these stories about the talk, right?
Yeah.
Where they say they say black families have to give their kids the talk about how to deal with cops. And the weirdest thing to me is I went through that talk.
Yeah.
Like, my dad sat me down and said, we have a discussion about what you do when you're stopped by the police. And I was like, maybe, I guess we're a mixed race family from the south side of Chicago. So maybe that's it. We're not the privileged white people from the suburbs, I guess. But I hear a ton of people of different races who have the talk. But for some reason, the media narrative makes it specifically about, only black people. But I'm not trying to get into the whole Black Lives Matter thing. I'm bringing it up just to say the fundamental worldview is completely is divergent. There's no bringing that together. So you end up with people marching through the streets, smashing things, burning things down, and destroying things. And when I say, hey, you shouldn't do that, they say, you need to understand their pain. It's like, well, I'm not going to compromise with that. There's no amount of rioting I'm going to say, that's the okay amount.
One way you can think of it is, I like this metaphor about each of us having our own operating system. And certain people have a different operating system than you do. So you've got Linux, they've got Windows. And certain mind viruses can only infect you if you're running a specific type of operating system. Mm-hmm. So this mind virus that's making those people crazy only infects their operating system. It doesn't infect you, and you're incapable of understanding the virus because it doesn't function with your operating system.
It's not
Just
about
hear me out.
understanding it.
So in order for you to understand what they're going through, you're going to have to install Windows.
No, that's not the analogy.
At least in like a boot camp.
I know exactly what they think. They think that, as they've said, that police are hunting down black people. And that's just mathematically not possible. It's just not true. There's probably instances of profiling. That's a fact. Racism absolutely exists. There are racist cops. These things happen. But to go out and burn down, for white progressives to go to black neighborhoods and burn these buildings down, it's not a matter of me not getting it. I understand why they're angry, and they're wrong. So there's no level where I compromise.
It's an emotional thing.
The issue is not about whether or not I understand them. The issue is flat out I reject them burning down black businesses in Atlanta. I reject it outright, and I will not compromise with it.
I think
so. There's no bringing these two groups together when one says, They believe they have the right, white progressives, to go to Atlanta and destroy and burn down black businesses. You see those rappers, I forgot the guy's name, where he was like, why are you doing this to us? And they just they don't care at all. And so I say, I reject the destruction that they bring upon these communities, and that makes me right-wing and they're left-wing. There is no point at which I sit down and I say, so tell me what you want to burn down next. Okay, what if you only burn down half? That's never going to happen.
You got to understand why they feel that way.
I know why they feel that way, because the media lies to them and because they have no idea what's really going on. That's not the issue, though. The issue is if someone believes they have a right to do something and I believe that they don't and they're wrong, there is no us coming together. The divergent realities cannot coexist, and it's leading to street violence, and it's leading to mass media propaganda, and the media just puts out garbage fake stories because it makes them money. They rile up these people into believing crazy things for crazy reasons, and then if you come out and say that's not true, you're right wing. For example, one of the categories for there's something called Transparency Tube that like charts who's left and who's right. If you believe that they lied about Brett Kavanaugh, you're right wing. If you believe that, if you talk about migrant caravans and you're critical in any capacity, you're right wing.
Is it a website called Transparency?
Yeah, and it charts all these different YouTube channels. It's right wing to say they lied about Brett Kavanaugh because the right tribe says this is crazy, and the left tribe says Brett Kavanaugh is, a gang abuser. So that's clearly Brett Kavanaugh is not. He was vetted to become a federal judge. That was clearly not true. The woman had no evidence. None of it was corroborated, but they go nuts on that and nothing on Hunter Biden. So you're right wing if you say, wow, Hunter Biden clearly did something and Brett Kavanaugh didn't. That's right wing. So how do you compromise with someone who sits down and says, okay, we will allow Hunter Biden to be arrested for his transgressions, but we're also going to arrest Brett Kavanaugh for being a gang abuser. You're going to be like, but Brett Kavanaugh didn't do that. Well, we got to compromise, right? No, it's not going to happen. There's not going to be a compromise between those positions.
That's because you cannot compromise about truth. And
right.
This comes down to what is true and what is not.
And they live in Wally World.
You ever see that meme where it's like a square from one angle, but the other angle, the edges are rounded, so it looks like a circle. And then you see the shadows on the wall. And both shadows are right. They're both true, but one person sees the square, one person sees the circle.
Or it's two guys looking at a 6 and a 9.
Yeah,
and both
very
pointing
similar.
At the other
so
thing.
Truth is relative to how you perceive the situation.
Well, no, there are people who believe they know the truth based on limited information, but some things are just true.
I don't.
So the available body of evidence on, say, Brett Kavanaugh would not bring us to a position beyond a reasonable doubt that Brett Kavanaugh did anything wrong. There's just no evidence. In fact, there's evidence to the contrary. Her friends were saying they don't recall what she's talking about, and they don't think they even knew Brett. Yet she still carried on, and the Democrats still said he did it. And now you still have the left saying, I can't believe that rapist is now on the Supreme Court. It's like they never presented literally any evidence. The only evidence that came out was that she was probably lying about some things. Like when she said she was scared to fly. And then she was asked, didn't you fly to like the Bahamas or something? And she goes, yes. Okay. Like, I thought you were scared to fly. Apparently not. So they have no leg to stand on, but they just believe it. It's the true Nanana Shabbat pressure phenomenon. I'm going to call it that. It's the true Nanana Shabbat pressure phenomenon, where the left will just cheer for anything so long as it's blue, period.
They don't want to be afraid anymore, I think. But at the very bottom, even beneath the operating system thing, I think just on the humans as an organism can't stand to be afraid for too long. They will jump on any, they say, there's that saying, any port in a storm. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be afraid anymore. Hey, government, hey, TV, hey, CNN, just tell me something so that I don't have to be afraid anymore. Tell me what I need to do or say. Do I need to go and chant with this group of people over here? Fine. I just don't want to be afraid anymore. For instance, Kavanaugh, I feel like they're not attacking him as a person. They don't know him as a person, but they're attacking the symbol of a right-leaning judge in a majority, now it's a majority, a right-leaning majority. That means that it will take away certain freedoms from them that they value more than their own safety and the safety of others. They will become violent because they are convinced that that symbol, being in a position of power, means their lives and other lives will be ruined. They're afraid of what will happen, so they have to attack the symbol. They're attacking Trump, but they're not really attacking Trump. They're attacking what he symbolizes.
Well, the media painted him as this image.
Right.
Well,
so that's why they loved him before he
right.
ran. Or
he was a
funny, he was funny before, but now he's in a position of power that's very scary. People don't want to be scared.
So then ultimately the issue is we have two divergent realities. One where the media just ignores the Constitution and says Joe Biden won when he didn't, and it looks like he's on track to win. That's fine, but we're nowhere near that point. We're a month away from an actual winner in the traditional constitutional process. The media just doesn't care. So now you have one side saying, let the process play out. We're still waiting. It's like, but the other side saying it's not true. And all these people just believe it. There's divergent realities. And so the idea that we could come together, to me, seems just not possible.
Regarding the people that would give up their freedom and that seek safety over freedom, I think that's literally like a Thomas Jefferson quote. It might have been Jefferson.
Sure.
Those that are willing to give up their freedom for
I think
safety.
Incorrectly attributed to Ben Franklin.
Franklin deserved neither safety nor freedom.
And we'll lose both.
Yeah, who was that attributed to? Was that?
I think it was falsely attributed to Ben Franklin, but I don't know the origin of it.
Well, basically, if you give up your freedom for security, you're going to lose all of it.
Those that would
They'll
give
be
up
storming into your house and dragging your wife out by her hair and looking for the noise behind the TV. You don't want to give up your freedom.
What's that? Sorry.
That was the idea.
It's like
Yeah.
saying, what words, what prayer do I have to say? Do I have to go to confession? I don't mean to speak against religion. Some religions are very good, I think. But what do I have to say or do? Do I have to give money, light a candle, whatever, to just make the guilt, the pain, the fear go away? Just tell me, oh priest, or tell me, oh group, what do I need to do to make it go away? There's something very deep in the organism of humans that's beneath culture. It's just the whole organism of humans. We need to go to an external source because I think we punish ourselves a lot with fear and guilt and sort of. For instance, if I grew up in a really rich family, I have a certain guilt. I didn't, but let's say I feel a certain guilt because I had certain privileges that other people don't. I can then be convinced by, let's say, a very charismatic person that, hey, I grew up with all these privileges, therefore I should feel guilty, and therefore I should give away everything I have and then serve a certain group of people that I think are underprivileged, which could be a good thing. That can make my guilt go away. That's potentially a good thing. But if you apply that to a certain ideology that says all people who are doing well are evil and are stealing, you are now taking that guilt and turning it, you're almost weaponizing it. People can be converted because of guilt feelings. They can be converted into weapons, which we've seen with communists and socialism. I can understand why on its surface it seems attractive, but when you see, there's that saying, you can know a tree by its fruit. When you see what happens years down the road to these countries, the Gulag Archipelago, for instance, you see what happens to anyone who's doing better than anyone else. They are now a target because clearly they
stole it.
They took advantage of somebody else. So anytime I'm doing better than the guy next to me, I have to feel guilty. And then that person has an advantage over me of like a moral superiority. I'm below that person. They're doing better than me. Therefore, I don't know.
Communism is whack.
I can get away with stealing from him. So, for instance, you'll see the rioters and the looting. Someone once told me it's okay to steal from like Walmart because they're doing so well as.
Because they steal
company,
from their workers.
Right. And it doesn't matter. You're still stealing. That's the point. You're breaking the law, and lawlessness leads to all kinds of like other problems, and there's a million reasons not to do it. It's wrong. But they're justifying it and saying that person was not doing well off. When you start excusing what we're calling it crime, when you excuse it, you start going into all these things of like, well, if I just turn the other way, well, some guy got clubbed over the head, but he deserved it. I'm sure he deserved it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.